Coming from Atlanta all the way to Indiana with cars by cage sipes. I'm major, damn right. On stages, popping collars, I'm making a bigger dollar. When the engine holler, the women follow to see the problem. See, he got Impalas the same color as pollen, and I ain't got.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another product review. I'm Gabe Sipes, Custom Audio Reimagined. Today we're going to do a review on the Genius GFX amplifiers. I have two amplifiers here. The first one is the GFX 75x4. Obviously it's a 4-channel. And then we have the GFX 55x4. Again, 4-channel. These two are their definite 100% entry-level amplifiers. Both of these amps are under $100. So this one is $85. This one is $97. So we're going to take these to the shop and see what we can get out of them and see if an under $100 amp is worth your time. But first, let's go ahead and open them up, see what we got on the inside. Right off the bat, you're going to notice these are different. So you see this box, the way it is, this is a side pop box, so it pops open like that on the side. This is a flip top box. It's kind of weird that the same series amplifiers have completely different packaging, and the pictures, they're different looking. They have the same silk screening, but the heat sinks are different. So here we got the 55x4. We'll go ahead and get this box opened up, slide it out. It's a box in a box, all right. Open up this box, slide it out, and there's the amplifier. Okay, right off the bat, setting it down, I've noticed something that's, I don't know if you hear that, it's very thin metal. You can hear the metal rattling. Yeah, it's very thin on the back plate. So right off the bat, this amp you are not going to mount to a sub box. If you do, you are going to be very upset with yourself. I just don't see that being a good thing to mount to a sub box. Because it's under $100, again, the materials are going to be as low quality or as low cost as possible. So the back plate here is a very, very thin gauge metal plate, and it is rattling against the heatsink. So 4-channel amp, if you're using this to run subs, you probably should stop messing with car audio anyway, because it's a 4-channel amp, I wouldn't do that. So here is the 55x4 on the sides. It looks like we have 8-gauge power and ground inputs. We've got front and rear speaker outputs, pretty basic. The other side, we've got RCA in, and we have an RCA out. So you can bring a full range signal out to another amplifier if you need to. You've got high pass crossovers, low pass crossovers, and gains for both front and rear. And we have a power and a protect light. Pretty basic, pretty simple 4-channel. $85 amp, I mean, is what it is. We'll put it on the bench. If it puts out the power that it's supposed to, then cool. If not, I really don't expect it to. So, obviously totally different. This box is more of the traditional amplifier packaging. It was wrapped in plastic, as you can see there, but I took it out of the plastic bags earlier. So this isn't a original opening. I already opened it once to look at it. So, set that there, get this box out of here. And here is the 75x4. See if we have the same issue. Yes. So again, I would not mount this amplifier to a box because that is definitely some thin steel on the back with some vibrations. Let's go ahead and check out the sides. It is pretty much identical to the 55x4, 8-gauge power and ground inputs, front and rear outputs. On the other side, we are the exact same plate. So identical as the 55x4. So now what I was saying earlier, this is where I thought this was kind of weird. Normally amps from the same series match. I don't know if you can see, I'll try to get this in the other shot. You can see that these are not the same heat sinks. This has the 3 silver stripes across top. This has 2 silver across top, 2 silver across the bottom. The difference in size, the 55x4 looks like it's about an inch shorter and maybe a quarter of an inch height-wise shorter. So lengthwise it's an inch shorter, height-wise it's about a quarter of an inch shorter. The side plates though are identical, except they have different shape. This one's a little bit larger with square corners. This one has all these little notches and 45s on there, and it's a little bit smaller because the amps. But as far as the layout, they are 100% identical. Looks like there's air intakes on each side here, and there's air intakes on the other side. I doubt if there's fans in there for under $100. Yeah, I'm looking. No, there's no fans. It's just completely below through. So for air to circulate through. So a little bit weird, but again, under $100. So these amps, before I test them, what I would recommend these amps for is if you want to upgrade power to your mids and highs, your fronts and rears, these will be what you would go for. Since there's no monoblock or sub amp in this series, I wouldn't build a full system around them because I don't like mix and matching my models and my series numbers because I think it looks a little sloppy on the install. I like everything to look the same. So since these don't have monos, then I don't know if I'd use them for subs. I definitely wouldn't mount them to the boxes. But you could get away with using this amp for your fronts and rears, 4-channel, and then bridging out the front and rear on these to a sub. Depends on what kind of power output we get. I know Genius was talking about how they run 4 speakers, front and rear speakers off the front outputs of this 4-channel, and then you bridge the rear into a single sub, and they're talking about how that'll run a full system. Yes, that's true. Me personally, I would only do that on like a golf cart or maybe a side-by-side or something like that where you don't care about channel separation, because when you do that you're going to lose fade. You're not going to have front, you're not going to have rear fade, you're not going to have any channel separation, so you're just kind of, it'll work, but it's not really the best for the sound of car audio. So if I was doing it in a golf cart or something along those lines, yeah, that'd be a great way to get away with 1 amp running the whole system. But in my car, I don't think I would ever do that. Let's go ahead and check out the manual. Right off the bat, I see on the front there is 3 models and I only have 2. So I got the 55 and the 75. It looks like there was a 65x4 either at one time or they still have it and they didn't send it to me, but there's a 65x4. Opening up, it is a basic manual, tells you how to hook up power and ground and all that. If you don't know how to do it, don't be doing stereos because you're just going to screw stuff up. They do show the amplifier hookup options, which is what I was just talking about. Standard 4-channel stereo, 4-channel where you can run 8 speakers. You can run it 4-channel 2 ohms, so you can run 4 in the front, 4 in the rear. And then here's the layout that I was discussing, which is the fronts running front and rear, and then the rear running sub. Not something I would really do. Power output. Before we head to the shop, let's go ahead and see what it's supposed to do. Then we're going to button all this up. We're going to head over to the shop. We're going to dyno these things, and then I'll give you my closing statements. So, what are we looking at? Obviously, 55x4 is probably a 55x4, and a 75x4 is probably a 75x4. Pretty best bet. But let's see what they give us. So, they do have CEA rated, which is what I always go by if amplifiers have the CEA rated, because that means it meets that standard, the CEA standard. So they're CEA rated. They do show the 12 volt, 13, 14 volt outputs power. I'll put those up, but I'm going to ignore them for my tests because it makes it a lot easier for me to just look at the CEA rated. Because these aren't going to draw enough power that my bench is going to, not be able to hold up. So 4 ohms, the 65x4, the 55x4 at 4 ohms should give us 65x4. So 10 watts more than what it's labeled. At 2 ohms, 80x4. And 4 ohms bridge, we're looking at 160 by, they have 160 by 1, which is wrong, it's a misprint. It should say 160 by 2 because it's a 4-channel, you can bridge the front and the rears. So 160 by 2, correcting their typo. The 75x4, we're looking at 85x4 at 4 ohms, so again 10 watts more. 115x4 at 2 ohms, and 230x2 bridged. So, like I said before, you could use this amp to run your fronts and rears, and then you could bridge this out to 230x2, and you would have 230 watts going to each one of your subs if they were 4 ohm subs. Not a ton of power, but good for, you know, a grocery getter or something you're just gonna have in your, that'll upgrade for your car. Everything else in here is pretty basic. The protection in these, they have thermal, overcurrent, and speaker short. So those are your protections that you have. Minimum voltage is 9 volts, maximum voltage is 15 volts. Maximum consumption. Okay, so the amperage draw. The maximum amp draw from the 55.4 or 55 by 4 is 24 amps. And from the 75 by 4, $126 watts, rated at 80. So actually very underrated. Let's go ahead and bridge it out and see what she gives us. All right, 55 by 4 bridged, 4 ohms. We're looking for 160. $222 watts, supposed to be rated at 160. Okay, we got the GFX 75 by 4 hooked up now. The 55 by 4 actually did really well. It's very underrated for what it is for an $85 amplifier. I mean, it was pretty nice. So let's see what the 75 by 4 does. Right now at 4 ohms, we're looking for 85 watts. Let's see what we get. Surprisingly, this amp is $85. That's retail. That's what it costs for you to buy it. This amp is $97. Again, retail, what it costs for you to buy it. So under $100. And I got 258 by 2 out of this, and I can't really remember what we pulled out of this one, but it was quite a bit. It was supposed to be doing 160. I think we pulled like 180 or 200 out of it. Yep. Each one of these amps did way more than it's rated. So as 4-channel amps, these amps are great. I mean, if you're gonna run mids and highs, plenty of power. Plenty of power, plenty to do it. If you wanna run it like your whole system, like I discussed earlier, why? Why do that? Why run the fronts, you know, at 2 ohms to your front and rear and then bridge to a sub out the rear channel when these things are so inexpensive? Just buy one for your mids and highs and then buy one for your subs. There's no point in using one to run your whole system. To me, that's just stupid. For the price of what these things cost, you easily spend $200–300 on another brand that gives you the same power output. And then I can understand where you're like, man, I can't afford to buy a 4-channel and a monoblock. But you could buy both of these for under $200. It's a no-brainer. Me personally, looks-wise, I'm going with the 75 by 4. The 55 by 4 is a little bit smaller, but not enough to make a big of a difference on the install. But the one thing I did not like is, I really hate that. That pisses me off on this amplifier. If I had bought this amplifier, which is worth it because of the price, I would take this back plate off completely and replace it with something else, or I would take it off and put foam underneath here, something to get rid of that. That's just unacceptable for me. So I would spend the extra $10 and just get this one, which isn't as bad, and you're getting more power. So for $10 more, I would just go with this one. I wouldn't even bother with that one. But if you're just gonna run 4 channels, you're not gonna run subs, you're not gonna have anything in the car that's banging, vibrating, where you're gonna have a problem with that rattle, then this is great for a fronts and rears upgrade, power your speakers. This amp right here, all day long, it's 100 by 4 at 4 ohms, so I could run 100 watts to my fronts, 100 watts to my rears, and then I could bridge it out and do 258 watts to each one of my subs, which would be great for like a pair of 10s, or where this amp would shine if you have the room, if you have like a Chevy Silverado or an extended cab truck where you can mount these to the back wall. 2 of these and a truck would be perfect, because it's plenty of power to run a couple of 10s underneath the back seats down firing, and plenty of power to run your fronts and rears, and you did it for under $200. So it's just kind of mind-blowing how inexpensive these things are. So that's where these things shine, is their price point. If they were any more than what they are, I would probably say, you know, if you want to run the brand, you can. Other than that, I'd pass. There's other stuff. But at this price point, these things shine, and they're you definitely should be buying them. If you're a shop, these are the kind of amps that you should stock with. You should have 2 or 3 of these on hand of each one, or just have, you know, like 4 of these on hand. Trust me, the cost it costs you to stock these is so inexpensive, it's worth it just to have them on hand. So when you do have that customer that comes in that doesn't have a brand preference, who doesn't have a lot of money, who needs that budget build, this is gonna be a solid amplifier to go with. So that's really all I got to say about them. They perform, so respect. I'm not mad at them. They did what they're supposed to do. Their price points are amazing. These amps are a definite buy. I'm Gabe Sipes, Custom Audio Reimagined. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video.